Act 3, Scene 4. As the feast begins, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are welcoming their guests. Suddenly, Macbeth sees one murderer at the door and goes to meet him. The murderer informs him that Banquo has been killed, but Fleance has escaped. Macbeth sees Fleance's escape as a great blow to his plans. He sends away the murderer and rejoins his guests. But when he returns to the table, he sees Banquo's ghost occupying his seat. Macbeth is perturbed, begins talking to the ghost. The guests are surprised to see Macbeth addressing the empty chair because the ghost remains unseen to the others. Lady Macbeth understands at once that her husband is seeing a hallucination and his sense of guilt is at the root of the matter. She tries her best to awaken him to the reality and tells her guests that her husband is having a fit. Macbeth continues to talk to the ghost till it disappears. Macbeth expresses surprise that a dead man should thus rise and confront him. Lady Macbeth again tries to explain away this talk so that the guests should not suspect the truth. Macbeth then apologizes, saying that he suffers from a certain infirmity, well known to those close to him. He then proposes a toast to everybody's health and happiness. Banquo's ghost reappears and Macbeth calls upon the ghost not to bother him. He challenges the ghost to come and fight him in the shape of a man or beast, but not in its present shape. Macbeth asks if such things actually exist and feels sorry that his courage should have failed him at such a sight. Ross tries to question him about what he has seen, but Lady Macbeth brings the feast to a hurried end. After the guests leave, Macbeth tells his wife that the ghost has probably come to seek revenge as blood will have blood. No murder can remain a mystery. Macbeth is distressed by the appearance of the ghost but recovers enough to talk of the next danger he faces. He draws his attention to Macduff's absence at the feast and tells her that he keeps paid informers in the houses of all the lords. He says that Macduff seems to be hostile to him and he wants to visit and consult the witches again, for he has great faith in their foreknowledge. He also says that he must strengthen himself for more murders because he has now gone too far to retrace back his steps. So the main text now. Scene 4. A room of state in the palace. A banquet prepared. Enter Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Ross, Lennox, lords and attendants. Macbeth. You know your own degrees. Sit down at first and last the hearty welcome. So you know your own social ranks, so sit down accordingly. Once and for all, let me heartily welcome you to this feast. Lords, thanks to your majesty. Thank you, your majesty. Or thank you, your highness, whatever they're referring to Macbeth. Macbeth, ourselves will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome. So I will walk around and mingle with all of you playing the humble host, and my wife will stay in her royal chair, but at the appropriate time I will have her welcome you all too. Lady Macbeth, pronounce it for me, sir, to all our friends, for my heart speaks they are welcome. So say welcome to all our friends from on my behalf as well, and for in my heart they are all welcome. So enter first murderer and Macbeth. See, they encounter thee with their heart's thanks. Both sides are even. Here I will sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Anon we will drink a measure and table round. Aside to first murderer, there is blood upon thy face. So to his wife he says, see, the guests respond to you with their heartfelt thanks, and to everybody he says, both sides have repaid each other in the show of courtesy. Here I will sit amidst you all, enjoy yourselves without any restraint. I will soon drink healths all round. So, and he goes to the door and speaks to the first murderer, there is blood on your face. Macbeth is happy that the whole table is full on both sides and he shall be at the center of it. and he asks everyone to be free, to feel free. And Macbeth asks everybody to be free and happy, and soon we will toast around the table. First murderer, 'tis Banquo's then, so the blood is of Banquo. Macbeth, 'tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched? So I would rather see his blood splattered on your face than flowing through his veins. Did you finish him off? First murderer, my lord, his throat is cut, that I did for him. So the first murderer has slit his throat. Macbeth, thou art the best on the cut throats, yet he is good. Did the like for Fleance. If thou didst, thou art the non-peril. So you are the best of the cutthroats, you are the best of the murderers, of the assassins, and but whoever has done the same to Fleance must be equally good, equally worthy, and if you cut both their throats, then you are the absolute best. First murderer, most royal sir, Fleance is escaped. So most royal sir, Fleance has escaped. Macbeth, then comes my fit again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, as broad and general as the casing air, but now I am cabined, cribbed, confined, bound in to saucy doubts and fears. But Banquo's safe. So now I'm scared again. Otherwise, I would have been perfect, as solid as a piece of marble, as firm as a rock, as free as the air itself. But now I am all tangled up with doubts and fears again. But Banquo's been taken care of. Are you sure of that? So he makes sure that Banquo has been murdered, undoubtedly. So then my fit of fear comes over me again. Had Fleance been dead, my satisfaction would have been complete. And otherwise he feels like he is shut in, imprisoned and fettered by insolent doubts and fear. So to his great dismay and disappointment, Macbeth comes to know that Banquo has been murdered according to the plan, and his son Fleance has been able to escape under the cover of darkness. He is completely upset. Here Macbeth is expressing his dismay. He says that his anxious apprehensions are coming upon him again. As of late, they have been coming on him like fits of ache. He is deeply worried, remembering the weird witch's prediction regarding Banquo's progeny being kings. If Fleance also had been murdered, Macbeth would have felt perfectly safe and secure as a king. His position would have been as strong and sound as marble, free of crack or fissure, and would have rested on a foundation as firm as a rock. Then his kingship would have been free, as limitless in extent as the all-pervasive air surrounding us. But now, after the unexpected escape of Fleance, his thoughts are cramped, and he feels himself to be shut up in a child's bed or in a cabin, a prisoner to mocking doubts and tormenting fears. So this might be a sign of his beginning doom, as his position is insecure and is no longer free from the fear and uncertainty. First murderer, I, my good lord, safe in a ditch, he bides, with 20 trenched gashes on his head, the least a death to nature. So yes, my good lord, Banquo's lying dead in a ditch with 20 deep gashes in his head, any one of which also would have been enough to kill him. Macbeth, thanks for that. There the grown serpent lies, the worm that's fled, hath nature that in time will venom breed. No teeth for the present, get they gone, tomorrow we'll hear ourselves again. So thanks for that. The adult snake lies in the ditch. The young snake that escaped will in time become poisonous and threatening, but for now he has no fangs. Get out of here, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. So the escape of Fleance from the clutches of the hired assassins is shocking news to Macbeth. After his great disappointment, he wants to know if Banquo has been dispatched beyond all doubts, so that he need not fear him any longer. When the murderer assures Macbeth that Banquo is dead, Macbeth feels relieved to a great extent. The stronger and more important of the two are dead. He compares Banquo to a fully grown venomous snake and Fleance to a young one. The big serpent has been done away with and can no longer create any trouble for him. The young one has no doubt made good its escape, but it has not yet grown its teeth of poison, so it is harmless for the present. The young one, however, has a nature which in course of time will surely breed venom. So Fleance shall become a potential enemy, but is harmless for now. The metaphor is striking and also ironical, that in those whom Macbeth is calling poisonous snakes were really the victims of his own evil designs. Lady Macbeth, my royal lord, you do not give the cheer. The feast is sold that is not often vouched. While 'tis a making, 'tis given with welcome. To feed were best at home. From thence the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it. So, my royal lord, you are not entertaining the guests. If you do not make your guests know they are welcome, they will feel like they are paying for their own meal. When you just want to eat, it's better to do that at home. And when you're eating out with people, you need to have a little more ceremony, a little more courtesy to be shown. Otherwise, dinner parties would be boring and disrespectful. So, just when Macbeth is welcoming his guest, the first murderer has appeared and given him the upsetting news of Fleance. Macbeth is visibly shaken. Lady Macbeth, realizing that Macbeth is not being hospitable to his guest, tries to save the situation. She moves towards the door to admonish her royal consort by reminding him of his duty. She rebukes him for not playing his part properly as the host of the royal banquet. He is not bidding his guests welcome as they might expect him to. She just observes that a feast can only be considered similar to food sold at an inn, not given if the hosts omit such courtesies as much as may assure the guests that they are all heartily welcome. If it is simply a matter of eating, it can be best done at home. But while dining out as invited guests, people always expect ceremonial courtesy. This adds relish to the food, and without it, a feast or a special gathering becomes a cold and dull affair, like meat without sauce. So, this shows her presence of mind as well as her concern for her husband. She does not want him to give himself away and utters these bracing words to make him aware of the surroundings. This is one of the last scenes where Macbeth will get his wife's support as she succumbs to her guilt later. Macbeth is to become an increasingly lonely figure later on. Macbeth, sweet remembrancer, now good digestion wait on appetite and health on both. So it's nice that you remind me of such things, since good digestion requires a good appetite and good health requires both of those. Here's to good appetite, good digestion and good health. And he is raising a toast. Remembrancer, that is just referring to Lady Macbeth as sweetheart. Thank you for reminding me of my duty. Lennox, may it please your highness sit. So Lennox asks that why don't you have a seat, sir? Macbeth, here had we now our country's honor roofed, where the graced person of our banquo present, who may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance. So we would have all the nobility of Scotland gathered under one roof. If only Banquo were here, so everybody, it would have been complete. I hope it turns out that he is late out of rudeness and not because of something bad has happened to him. So, but I should rather blame him for being unkind in depriving us of his company than pity him for any accident which might have detained him. His absence, lays blame upon his promise. Please it, your highness, to grace us with your royal company. So his absence means he has broken his promise. If it pleases you, your highness, why don't you sit with us and grace us with your royal company? Macbeth, the table's full. Lennox, here is a place reserved, sir. Macbeth, where, Lennox? Here, my good lord. What is it that moves your highness? So Lennox says that here is your seat. What's wrong, your highness? Why are you not taking your position? Macbeth, which of you have done this? What, my good lord? Macbeth, referring to the ghost, thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me. So you can't say that I have done it. Don't shake your bloody head at me. Saying all this because perhaps he is clearly seeing Banquo's ghosts occupying his chair. The ghost is visible to none except Macbeth. When he looks at the chair, he is aghast and visibly moved to find Banquo's ghost occupying his seat. To the great surprise and consternation of all the nobles present, he starts raving at the unearthly figure and tells it that he is not to be blamed for the murder. He has not stained his hands in Banquo's blood, so why should the figure shake its blood-stained head at him? Perhaps vainly, Macbeth is of the notion that the murders that he has not committed by himself but by others will not affect his conscience, and none will be in a position to accuse him. Hence, the sight of Banquo's ghost occupying his seat fills his soul with horror as well as anger. Thus, at this juncture, we find Macbeth hallucinating. He has committed the first mistake towards disclosing himself publicly. Ross, gentlemen, rise. His Highness is not well. So, gentlemen, let's go. Let's stand up. His Highness is not feeling well. Lady Macbeth, sit, worthy friends. My lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. Pray you, keep seat. The fit is momentary. Upon a thought, he will again be well. If much you note him, you shall offend him and extend his passion. Feed and regard him not. Then aside to Macbeth, are you a man? So Lady Macbeth asks everybody to sit down, referring to them as worthy friends. My husband is often like this. Please stay seated. This is just a brief fit. It shall end very soon. In a moment he will be back well again. If you pay too much attention to him, you might anger him and will make his convulsions go on longer. So eat your dinner and pay no attention to him. And rebukes Macbeth as a man. Macbeth, I, and a bold one, that dare look on that which might appall the devil. So yes, I am a man, and a brave one, who dares to look at something that would frighten the devil. That means it was such a gory look, such a gory appearance or hallucination that anybody would have been frightened. But anybody, even the devil too, shall be frightened. Lady Macbeth, oh proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. Oh, these flaws and starts, impostors to true fear, would well become a woman's story at a winter's fire, authorized by her grandam. Shame itself. Why do you make such faces when all's done? You look but not a stool. So, oh, that's nonsense. This is just another one of your hallucinations you always get when you are afraid. This is like that floating dagger you said was leading you towards Duncan. These outbursts of yours don't even look like real fear. They are more like how you would act if you were a woman, narrating a scary story by the fireside in front of her grandmother. Shame on you. Why are you making these faces? When the vision passes, you will see that you are just looking at your vacant chair and nothing else. So Macbeth is so horrified and moved at the sight of Banquo's ghost, visible only to him, that all the guests at the banquet want to leave the hall, but Lady Macbeth appeases them by telling them that they should not take much notice of him, as he has been subject to such fits since his youth, and that will too pass off soon. Then she turns to her husband and calls him a coward. Macbeth tells her consort that he is quite a bold person with the courage to gaze at such an appalling sight, but she scornfully declares that this is downright nonsense. She mockingly tells him that what frightens him is nothing but the creation of his own imagination. She is certain that this vision, seen only by him, is nothing but some phantasm, some hallucination painted by his mind's fears, something like that dagger which he previously saw in the air, which, as told by him, directed him to Duncan's room. These sudden outbursts of fits and passions are simply the outcome of false fear. They may be quite appropriate to a woman telling a ghost story sitting by the fireside in the long winter evenings, for the truth of which she says she has the authority of her own grandmother. So stool is referred here because the usual seating for Elizabethans were stools, and chairs were expensive and rare. Macbeth, prithee, see there, behold, look, lo, how say you? Why, what care I, if thou canst not speak too? If charnel houses and our graves must send those that we bury back, our monuments shall be the maws of kites. So why not? So just look, please look over there. And what do you see? What don't you see the ghost? What do you have to say for this? What do I care? So why should I care if it doesn't matter to you? But it is something that matters, that is disturbing. If you cannot, then speak too. That if you can say yes, if you can see it, say admit it, and then tell me that how do you feel the sight to be. If the dead are going to return from their graves, then there is nothing to stop the birds from eating the bodies. So there is no point in our burying people under the ground if they are supposed to come back and visit us. So in spite of all her taunts and jeers, Lady Macbeth fails to rouse Macbeth from his apathy after seeing Banquo's ghost at the banquet. Unfortunately, he still sees the ghost and asks her to look at the terrible sight. Here we find Macbeth and his mind distraught at the horrible sight of Banquo's ghost, muttering to himself and strangely suggesting a change in the mode of burial. According to him, if the burial vaults and tombs can send back their buried dead, thereby enabling them to walk the earth again, it would be better if the dead were left unburied in the open. In that case, they will be devoured by the birds of prey, whose stomachs would become their tombs. Macbeth's idea is that if the dead are buried in their graves, they have a chance to come out as ghosts, putting on visible shapes to haunt and frighten the living. But if the remains of the dead were devoured and digested by birds of prey, the possibility of ghosts putting on visible shapes may be avoided. It's a moment of almost total loss of self-control in Macbeth, and he is completely forgetful of his surroundings and has only attention for Banquo's ghost. In the midst of tragic horror, we have an element of macabre humor from the tragic hero, suggesting a way of disposing of the dead to prevent them becoming ghosts. Macbeth is now hastening towards his doom. His actions are becoming more and more reckless. Lady Macbeth, what quite unmanned in folly? What are you speaking of? Has your foolishness paralyzed you completely? That's all for today. And do like the video if you have found it informative, and leave any sort of comments, any sort of queries for me. Thank you.